This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Bean Gene. Bean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
Well, it's Ed Ryan right now, and she's looking for a chair and how to get organized in time to start a show. That begins at 6 o'clock at night, not 9 o'clock in the morning. Just a couple of quick updates before we bring the mayor on. We are all set with volunteers for tomorrow to take the toys down to Harlem Heights. So we appreciate you guys responding on Facebook to that. The new hours of Buttonwood are now Tuesday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And somebody just sent me an email to remind folks that if they have a generator and they're finished using the generator, to bring it back to Buttonwood so the next person on the waiting list can get their shot at it. After the checks that we sent out today, we now have distributed $166,000 to employees that lost their jobs on the beach, with more money to be sent out all week long. And everybody that purchases a yellow Army Beach Talk Radio shirt, all the proceeds from that, all the 100% of the money after the cost of the shirts is given to the folks, the employees on the beach. And you can purchase a shirt by going or just sending me an email, and I will send you the secure link so that you don't get scammed by someone who is posting a link on our Facebook page. And right now, these blue sweatshirts are only for sale at our live shows, which are going to be Friday night at Margaritas and Saturday at Wahoo Willie's. We also would like to thank our two newest sponsors to the show, Liberty Roofing and ATM Mortgage Advisors. And we'll have more information about those fine businesses in just a moment. So nice of you to join us today. I see the mayor is off camera right now, so wait for him to come back and ask him the questions that you sent in.
I hope they're better than who we're using.
Well, we're not using anybody right now.
We had our roof done, and it leaked, and I can't get a hold of them now that, it's still under
work is
warranty.
all done.
Yep.
Why would they answer
there
your
you
call?
go.
Hello, Mayor Dan Allers. How are you?
Good. Good evening. How are you?
Everything's going great on our end. Another busy day for you. Another council meeting, a management and planning meeting. So the first question, it also came up at today's meeting that we want to have you address and clear up, is the demo permits. There was a little bit of a kerfuffle last week with somebody, and why don't you give us the rundown of what happened and what the process is to get a demo permit?
Yeah, I saw your post about the person that got the demo permit. That was, the storm took away their house, but the pilings in the picture were still there, and there was obviously some other debris there. So I did actually go by, and I think I sent you the picture, Ed. I went by and took a picture of that actual lot that day, and you could obviously tell that it wasn't the picture that you posted. But to the point, and I will take the blame for this on behalf of the town, that it's something I think the town could have gotten out sooner and probably communicated it a little bit better. Even though your house is gone from the storm and it's just pilings, if you're clearing the lot, you still need to get a demolition permit. Now, we've waived the fees, so it's not a cost thing for the town. It's a safety issue, as you reported. We had that propane leak on the south end of the island that was hit by a construction person that was using a bobcat or a skid loader or whatever, and took the top of it off and shot 1,000 gallons of propane into the air. So we can all imagine what would happen if that was to blow up. So the reason for the demolition permit is not because we need to know what you're doing, but we need to make sure that everything is turned off. Your water, if there's electric, if there's a gas leak, if there's something there, we just need to make sure that you're not going to take off the water main and shoot water into the air, and now you got a huge water bill. So it's done out of safety. In order to get the demolition permit was a little bit cumbersome, and I think it's part of our process that we're going through. When you go to click on the demolition permit, it would take you to the permit, and you would, as a person that don't know, you would think that was the end of it. But below it, there were two other links that you have to click on that took you to the qualifier statement as the owner. And then I don't remember what the other one was, but a simple process of putting those two things in with the demolition permit so that when you click on a demolition permit, everything you need to fill out is right there. So when you send it in, you're not sending in one piece and then it comes back and then you send it back in and then you send it back, that whole thing that we've had to deal with. So it was a process issue, but someone that comes from a construction background, I knew that a permit was needed, but we didn't articulate that as a town. We didn't communicate it well enough, in my opinion. Hopefully that's been corrected. And even though you were getting a violation, and we have talked about changing some of the wording on what the violation actually says, those poor guys from code enforcement have got their names blasted all over social media over this, and it's unfair to them. They're not the ones that should be taking the brunt of it. It should be council members. It should be the people that make the policy decisions. So, they're just doing what they're supposed to do. And it's not a violation. It wasn't a code violation. I mean, it was a code violation by definition, but it was you could easily remedy it by just going online and doing the permit, and it doesn't matter who you are. Former town manager got one. So it doesn't matter who you are. If you did work without a demolition permit,
let me address I do want to apologize to James Campbell, whose name was on the code enforcement violation that was posted on our Facebook page. But in fact, James wasn't the person that actually put that notice on there. How did something like that happen?
Well, we've had some help that have come in from the state. The state has helped us with some of the permitting and some of the code stuff. And, there's a lot, anybody who's been in construction knows there's always people that try to find a shortcut or try to do things that they're not supposed to be doing, or they hire an unlicensed contractor, which puts their neighbors in danger, puts themselves in danger. So they're out there to make sure that people aren't working without a permit. They're out there to make sure that you're, as a homeowner, you're not working with someone from some other state that's just going to come and take your money and disappear. So it's a checks and balances thing as well as a safety thing. So not every single person. Usually what happens is when they do a code violation, whoever's doing, their name is getting attached to it. My understanding is that person goes out and verifies that what they're saying they need to give the code violation for is actually true. In this case, we're dealing with many, 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 many permits and some of these code violations, and not everybody can be out there to check every single time. So his name was put on something that he didn't even have a chance to go check on. So, but again, that's something from a town's perspective that we can fix. It's something as we're learning as we go. There's some issues that we're finding, and we'll fix them. We'll just fix them as we find them and keep moving forward.
So has that, you said you're in the process, has that been remedied where now, somebody's name, whoever's issuing the code violation is going to put their name on it?
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, it also is one of those, you have heads of department, and then you have people that do work, right? So it may still be the person. At the end of the day, in my opinion, it doesn't matter who puts their name on it. If it's a valid code violation, and if people are upset about it, if it's something that we can do as a town to fix it, then we should be doing everything we can do to fix it. And what I mean fix it is fix the process, alert people. And maybe it's just something as simple as I said, a wording on the code violation to say, if you go here and you do this, we can fix this, everything will be fine. But sometimes half information gets out there, but that's how we find that there's problems, right? So we found that this was an issue with making it easy and accessible for people to get the demolition permit, because that's kind of where we're at now in the process of most people are getting their electric back on. We're still dealing with some of that. Most people have their water back on. We're still dealing with some of that issues with the water, with the trucks running around, wrecking stuff. So we're trying to work through the problems as we find them on top of other problems that we're dealing with. So I know.
And I just want to add to that. If folks, if you're thinking about cleaning your lot more than just picking up pieces of wood and putting them to the side of a road, you really should go on the town's website and look at all the details you have to follow. It's not that simple. There are certain steps you have to follow that include the Fort Myers Beach utilities, they include Lee County, and you have to the contractor has to get all the sign-offs on that before you can do that. So if you're thinking about doing it and getting in under whenever the town decides to start charging for permits under this, this free time period, you should really get on there and get that permit now. There are things you have to do. It's not just applying for a one-page permit and getting a sign off the next day. It's probably going to take a little while.
Well, yeah, I mean, and again, it's done out of safety. It's done for underground utilities that we don't know. I mean, some of these houses that were destroyed have been there and no one's dug under them for years. So what's under there? You got to do a locate. You got to make sure the water's shut off. You got to make sure that now that people are getting power, that their power wasn't running back to your property by accident, if it's still kind of standing there. But so that's the reason. And again, there's no permit fees. So it's not that the town is trying to make money off you. In fact, the town's lost quite a bit of money by waiving the permit fees. So it's just a safety thing. We want to make sure that everybody gets home to their family. I mean, that road was closed for 6 days because of that propane tank. Can you imagine how bad it would have been had that
6
thing
hours.
blown? So yeah,
6 hours.
what did I say? 6 minutes?
6 days. You said 6
Oh,
days. That would have been
hours.
hell.
Sorry. 6 hours. Yeah. Sorry. No, we'd be talking about much bigger things if that was the case.
All right. So the next question is, how long will the laundry and shower trailers be on the island? There was someone who spoke
Yep.
with somebody yesterday and heard that possibly the 22nd of December was the last day. Can you confirm or?
Yes, I got confirmation today that the showers on the south end of the island on December 22nd will be the last day at Santini Plaza.
Got it. They're no longer in Times Square, so you're on your own after the 22nd.
I
Right.
believe that there's. I got to clarify on the ones at the DRC at Beach Baptist,
Oh, okay. It might be
but I know the
still
ones at Santini Plaza will be gone. So, the ones at Times Square went away first, and eventually they're going to want their assets back.
Sure. Go ahead. Oh, so there was a lot of discussion today about water bills, Dan. Can you kind of give people the snapshot of what was decided on the water bills, and the town is losing money on that too?
Yeah, so the issue today was over the stormwater fees that were passed a couple of years back when the stormwater became its own entity, if you will. And Christy Corey was asking us if we wanted to continue to, even though the water may not be used, do we want to still assess the value for the stormwater? The council said yes, keep moving forward with that. Now, some people, I think it was 200, I don't have my notes in front of me, but I think it was 200 and some accounts have closed since the storm. Obviously, if you close your account, you don't have that, but you don't have your water, you don't have anything else. So you have to do what's best for you. The town has to, I mean, you know me well enough to know if there was a way that we could eliminate every fee to every single person, that I would certainly do it, but we are not in a position to do that. So we have to kind of pick and choose as we go, because we got to still operate as a town, and there's no such thing as free money.
Right, and on that topic, I paid for parking during the show on Saturday because I know the town's not writing tickets right now. But when should people be aware that you need to pay to park, whether it's on Old San Carlos or under the bridge or wherever you have a spot that you can pay on the app? When are you going to start enforcing that?
Well, we're working on getting the new signs put up, and when you see the new signs put up, I think that's a pretty good, clear indication that you should probably start paying for it. Again, it's not because we're out there looking to give violations. It's out there that the town needs to start recouping some of its lost revenue from this storm, just like homeowners that want to start getting back into their house. We need to start rebuilding our house.
Right. Okay, well, the signs on Old San Carlos with the zone and the street,
That app.
Yeah, the app that seems to be working. It's taking my money fine. So
Hopefully you're getting it.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, they are, and they've told me that they're surprised people are still paying it.
Okay,
which is great. I mean, that just means that people often ask, we're coming down for a day or two, how can we help? That's another way. If you're parking on Old San Carlos, pay the fee, pay the meter. That's ways that you can help the town.
Speaking of go ahead.
Hear you.
Talking about, you can hear me?
No, I can hear you,
now?
but I can hear myself in the background sometimes.
Oh.
Talking about the town, revenue. Are you, obviously town's taking a hit, a lot of revenue's not coming in. Are there other sources that the town can get money from, grants, what have you, that you guys are actively seeking out to kind of offset that?
Yeah. To steal a phrase from Commissioner Kevin Ruane, I've become and the town has become an official beggar of money. We're out there, so we're asking for help from the state, from the federal government, who have both stepped up very, 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 very heavily to help us get through this. There are grants. There's the special session going on in Tallahassee right now where they're working on some things to help residents as well as help the municipalities affected by the hurricane. So we just got to see how this works out. We're as Chris Holly told you, we're okay now, but you have to be diligent. You have to be smart. You got to know what projects you can get done, how you can get them done, what's reimbursable. The biggest thing is making sure that your documentation is in order, that all your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed. Because if you don't, and you do get money from the federal government and they audit it, which they audit everything, they're going to come back and say, wait a minute, you didn't do this or you didn't do that. So there's a lot of time and energy spent from the finance department to make sure that this is getting done correctly.
Let's take a question from the viewing audience. How will condos get occupancy approval from the town, individual units, or does the whole condo building have to be put back together?
That's a good question, and I don't have the answer yet, but I know it with a condo, the fire department has some say in it as far as being able to occupy that. So I don't know exactly that the town can tell you when an individual owner can get back in. Most of the utilities were on the first floor of these buildings and were damaged. So moving back in, I think is going to be a combination between the fire department, the county, or not the county, sorry, but the town and the condo association.
Okay. So what about
down? I'll get you that answer in the morning.
All right. What about the bugs on the island, Dan? A lot of folks have, I don't know if it's a lot, but several people have said the bugs are getting out of control. Are they? And what's the skinny on that?
Well, they're definitely a problem. I mean, they're a problem everywhere, even not just on the island, off the island. We're just over the bridge here at Buttonwood, and those little flies are everywhere. A lot of that's the garbage, the old meat, all the stuff that's been left in these refrigerators, been sitting out forever. So yeah, there's talks about, the mosquito board. You can reach out to the mosquito board too and ask them what their plan is. I believe Mr. Johnson, Steve Johnson, I believe is on the board as well. So we can reach out to them. I have not spoken to any of them myself to find out what the plan is. Their building was lost just like everyone else's, and I believe they have a trailer out there now. So they're working on it. How do you? In the conversations I've had with it's kind of, how do you do it? Do you do the overhead spraying? Do you go around with the truck? Obviously overhead spraying is not going to probably be the best answer. So they're trying to find the best solution to be able to spray where they can. But picking up this debris, it's getting better from where it was a month and a half ago. The bugs, I mean, it's better now than it was a month and a half ago. So it's getting better. The cold spell is going to probably help us as well. Not letting standing water sit in places that you don't want standing water sitting to help breed the mosquitoes, I think will help. I'm by no means a mosquito expert. So,
well, does anyone from the mosquito board ever come before the town council and give an update? That seems like now would be a good time for that. I don't think I've ever seen.
No, I don't disagree. No, I as long as I've been on council, I don't ever remember the mosquito board coming before the council to give an update, but that's a good suggestion.
Thank you. No charge for that one. And by the way,
yeah,
right. There's always a price.
Speaking of the debris,
there's always a price.
Over at Bay Oaks, that's a lovely debris pile you got piling up there next to the recreational facility and the school.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, how do you test for an environmental issue there? I mean, you got a pool right there. How do you know some of that stuff's not seeping into the water? Is anybody, do you have plans to open the pool? And I mean, that seems like there would be some questions about that pile there. It doesn't seem like it's going away anytime soon because those folks want a quick way to get back to the garbage, and that's how they're doing it. They're dropping it off right there.
Well, and someone just popped up about, aren't there, critters with all of those debris piles?
Well, that's very possible. The DEP will make sure that that land gets back to the way it was before the hurricane hit. The town had to work with the county to be able to get a place on the island to be able to find a place to put the debris. to get the debris out of the right of way. That agreement was signed. Carter Golf was brought in to remove the debris from the right of way. Along the lines, the state came in. So that's why that's the only place on the island that we could put debris. You know, the ball fields were gone after the storm. Everything there was gone. So it's the only place that we had that we could start staging debris. So that's why it was put there. We had a very long conversation last week with Carter Golf and ACDC, who are the companies doing South SWFL doing the debris cleanup on the island, both on the beach and on the island and the roads and the right of way. And our town manager was very adamant that he wants that park back, and he wants it back sooner than later. Obviously, we want to get the debris off too, so we're kind of dealing with a catch-22. How far do you want? The longer it takes a debris truck to haul something somewhere, the less loads you get, right? So the faster you can get them off, and then it gets cleaned off the island. But we told them that we want this done in 3 months. We want that pile gone in 3 months. They've assured us that they can get that pile gone within 3 months. So we're going to hold them to that. That's what we were told.
So 3 months from last week when you had the meeting, not
Roughly.
3 months. Yeah. So the pool, there's no plan for the pool to open, right? I mean, that'd be crazy.
Well, we're trying to figure out how we can get the pool to reopen. There was damage there, just like at Bay Oaks. We've went through, did the bid process. There is an avenue under emergency. I remember what the emergency number is. There's so many letters I can't remember them all. But under an emergency act, if you will, that we can get the Bay Oaks building built, so that we can start using it for a town hall. That is FEMA reimbursable. We're working with our disaster team, which is Tidal Basin right now, to be able to figure out if the pool would fall within that or not, or how can we do that to be able to get that pool back open, fixed and reopen. It's going to take a little time. It's not going to happen in the next 3 months, but
okay.
We started those conversations, or continued those conversations, I should say, today.
Okay. So there's no plans to open the pool while that dump is still there.
No.
Okay.
No.
So
Wouldn't
the
make a lot of sense, would it?
no. So the let's talk about the school real quick. There's a school board meeting tomorrow. It's like a workshop, so you can't have public comment. Are you planning to go? Do you hear you got any insight? Any you can tell us, or to tell people that are watching, what might be different as far as opening the school, or is it still pretty much the same?
No, I think as a community, I think the needle got moved with the school board. If I'm being optimistic, they have a meeting tomorrow. I think from my initial conversations with the superintendent to where we are now, and the school board seems very receptive to what we've presented to them as a community. They see the need, they see the want. I think I can't speak for them. I don't know what they're going to propose tomorrow, what the superintendent's going to propose. As he told us in the meeting at Skip One, they're certainly giving us more than one or two options now. What those options are, we won't know probably till tomorrow. But somewhere in there, I think there's going to be a hybrid solution for the community and for the school board to make it work for all of us. I just don't know what it's going to be. I'm going to do everything I can do to be there tomorrow at 1:00. As of right now, I don't have any scheduled conflicts, but that could change. But I have every intention of trying to be there tomorrow. It's a meeting where we can't speak. It's similar to our management and planning session like we had today, but at least we can be there and show that we're fully invested. I did have a good meeting with Miss Patrica last week. We met at the school. We walked around the school. She actually got to go through the school. She got to go into another couple buildings there, and she's fully aware, as our representative, of where we stand. She seems committed to finding a way for us to keep the school at some aspect. Working with us to meet some metrics is kind of our conversation. So we'll see what that proposal is. We'll see what they roll out there and where it goes. But I think people need to know that I think we're moving in the right direction. I don't know how fast we'll be able to get the kids back at the school, but it looks like we're moving down a path to get get the kids back where they belong.
Well,
I want
you to ask that one, but before you ask that one, I mean, Chris Patrica is going to be on the show a week from Friday, just for anybody watching at Margaritas. If you want to come down to that show, or if you want to watch on the Facebook, I have to give her some credit, Dan. She does come to all the events. If she's against the school opening, and if she doesn't plan for if she doesn't plan to run for re-election, it almost seems like it would make no sense for her to come and just constantly get beat up by people who think that she's against opening the school. And there seems to be a lot of people on the beach who believe that she's against opening the school. But she shows up. She's the only one that I see that come to the beach events. I know she represents that area, but there's other people going to vote on it too. They don't show up.
Well, I can tell you that, I've gained a lot of respect for her. She is, as another elected official, someone that's willing to stand out there and take the good punches with the bad punches. I can respect that because, you got to be out there and you got to be able to answer the questions. Now, people may not like your answer all the time, but at least you're out there and you're having the communication. And sometimes they'll give you things that you haven't thought of. Most times they give you things that you hadn't thought of, and you can apply that to your decision making. So I give her a lot of credit for going out there and being upfront and honest and saying that, our conversations with her have changed her mindset. So that tells me that we're doing the right thing. We're talking to the right people, or we're moving the needle.
Got it. And yes, Ollie, the school board meets in the school district building. So that's where that meeting will be. Unless I don't know where they meet, but that's where I think they're meeting. So Dan probably had to blow his nose or something. He lost him in the screen here. So,
I did. Sorry.
go ahead.
So
Sorry.
when can people expect the curfews and the checkpoints to be lifted and all that to go away?
Well, we haven't discussed, changing that. It's important to remember maybe we'll probably do that at the next meeting in January, but I think Sanibel is opening up their island on the 2nd. It's important to remember why that curfew is there. The curfew is there to keep people off the island that are not supposed to be there. It is not there to keep residents of the island to be able to come and go from the island whenever they want. If you need to come onto the island at 10 o'clock because your flight comes in, you're not going to be not allowed to get on the island if you're a resident. If you could show your driver's license or you have one of the hurricane passes, the sheriff's department is going to let you by. If you have to leave to go meet people for dinner at 7 o'clock, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get back on the island because you're a resident. So I want to make sure people know that curfew is to keep people that are not supposed to be on the island after dark off the island. It's not meant to keep residents off the island. It's meant to keep people who aren't supposed to be there off the island. If you're having dinner at Wahoo Willie's or Yucatan or Bayfront Bistro or now Coast or down at the Pink Shell, wherever you're having dinner, it doesn't mean that you have to be inside your house at 8 o'clock. It just means that people that are supposed to not be on the island need to stay off the island.
All right. Did you want to
No,
follow up to
no,
that?
I
Okay.
thought there was something
What's
different.
the latest on Bayside Park? Doesn't look like there was any activity there yet, but I know you've been talking to Kevin Guthrie on that. So where are we at?
Yeah, I've been in conversation with Mr. Guthrie for a couple of weeks. I took him to the park, showed him the park, told him how important it was. He agreed. His team agreed. They wanted their staff to take a look at what it would cost to repair it. They had a look at it, is my understanding. They have a rough idea. It sounds like there's a funding mechanism there to be able to rebuild the park. There was a little bit of a hiccup with where it potentially looked like it was insured by the town, which obviously if it's insured, you got to go through your insurance. It was not insured. So we're back to where they're going to check that off and make sure that what we have and what they have matches up, and then we're moving forward. But it's still moving forward. Bayside Park will get rebuilt. It's just a matter of, sometimes you got to go through a little bit of a process to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know you don't like. I know you don't like. If you had your way, there'd be people out there with hammers and chisels tomorrow.
It'd be already open.
Well,
yeah,
trust me,
who knows in what capacity that
I
would
have
be
my
open.
faith. I have faith in people that watch this show that they can put that back
You
together.
do
I
not
can
have
supervise.
skills
I
for
would supervise. I'm good at that. So,
But I
speaking
will,
of,
I will tell you, the only request I had was that we get outlets actually at the stage.
yeah, I hear you. Speaking of putting things back together, when is the pier going to be rebuilt?
It's a good question. Obviously that's a county asset. Our town manager has had conversations with the county manager. I've had conversations with Commissioner Sandelli. We all know how important that area, not just the pier, but Lynn Hall Park, Crescent Park, Times Square. Is there an opportunity for us all to work together and make a really good vibe down there? And I think that's kind of where the discussions are now. I don't know how fast it's going to happen, but the willingness to have the conversations that I think the county is having with us almost every single day, whether it's from the commissioner, whether it's from our town manager and the county manager working together, we're all on the same page. We all understand how important it is for that area to get rebuilt. It's just a matter of what it needs to look like. So, it's going to get rebuilt. It's just a matter of how are we going to incorporate it all to be one really, really, and I hate to use this term, but one really cool area. It was already cool, but how are we going to make it better? And I think that's kind of the path we're on.
Yeah, I understand that for all of Lynn Hall Park and Times Square and all that, but the pier is pretty basic to me. You just put some wood out there and let people walk out and see. You know what I'm saying, though.
But is it basic, Ed? If everything has to be elevated, and now that pier walks right onto that elevated deck that goes to Times Square. If things have to be elevated, maybe that changes. Just why build something back if you got to change it? So
good point.
It's the discussion.
I just want to say that he is not an engineer in any way, shape, or form. So, folks,
Can we go one show without criticizing?
You're going backwards. So you're not an engineer. You're not good with numbers.
No. She's just going to be a nobody soon.
The list is long.
I heard you're pretty good at fixing flat tires on bicycles, though.
Oh, Dan, I told you that story when I ran into you Saturday. That was hilarious. But I did get an email. I might have shared it with some people from Cecil Pendergrass, who's a county board rep, who said that Roger Desjardins, the county manager, was getting a list of different projects throughout the county that everybody was asking about. Like we're asking about the pier, and Sanibel's asking about something that the county owns over there. And so he's trying to put together a list of all the different projects. And that I don't know I think the county board might even meet tomorrow, but or maybe next Tuesday. But he's supposed to be giving them an update in the next week or 10 days, and the pier is on that list. So maybe we'll find out soon.
Well, it's important for people to remember that we're all in this together. Lee County was hit together. It was Fort Myers Beach has its challenges. Sanibel has its challenges. There's Captiva, Pine Island, Fort Myers, Cape Coral. We're all Estero, Bonita. We're all in the same boat. We were all devastated to some point or another through this storm. And as a county, they have to look at everybody's needs and weigh out what's the most important or what needs to fix, what's high on a priority list. The governor does it, the federal government, everybody does it. They have to, everybody puts in their wants, their needs, their asks, and then you have to prioritize what's the most important. And at some point, there's got to be a line where you can't fix everything at once.
Mm-hmm. Can you put this to bed once and for all? There's no chance that anyone on Fort Myers Beach is going to get a FEMA trailer. Is that correct?
Well, I can't speak for FEMA, but I can tell you, if they cannot be in a flood zone, there might be a couple sections. I haven't looked at too intensely at the new flood maps to tell exactly if there is a specific spot where 1 or 2 or 10 could be. But the fact that they can't be in a flood zone, I mean, we're not very high above the Gulf, so it's very difficult to make that happen. But our local partners like Pink Shell, I believe Diamond Head, places that have rooms that are coming online are working with FEMA to get people placed inside their buildings. So they are I know they take a lot of heat about their process. And I think at our town hall meeting on Friday, they were very upfront. Mr. Fogel was very upfront about, yes, there's been some challenges. They're no different than any other business out there. They learn every time there's a mistake or there's something that didn't go the way that they had hoped. They had good intentions, but it didn't go the way they hoped. So they learn from it and they go to the next one. And I think this is one of those, as Mr. Fogel said, everyone makes mistakes. And I'm not saying that they made a mistake, but it's a process. If you know that you can't have a trailer in a flood zone, that's very easily, we can't get you in a trailer on your property, but that doesn't mean we can't get you in a trailer somewhere else or in a hotel room or an Airbnb somewhere. So they're trying. I mean, I sit by these people every single day at town hall, and you could tell they're trying. And it's hard, to try when you're constantly getting beat up. But they keep trying. They keep looking for solutions. The fact that we have partners, like I said, Pink Shell, Diamond Head, and others like that are stepping up and offering. Many Airbnb people that have duplexes have reached out to me, so we're putting them in contact with them. We have a meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock with their housing people, who hopefully will give us more information and more solutions that we can give to the public. So trying to find solutions, it's just a difficult process.
So with this, I forget what they mentioned. It's where FEMA is working with hotels or multi-unit, whatever, that they can get up and running and then offer these rooms back to folks on the island. Someone is saying, well, those rooms are $300 a night. It's my understanding that if FEMA's giving them a grant, that's not how it's going to be. Then it's going to be paid by FEMA, or it'll be
right. Exactly.
Right?
If FEMA places you there, whatever the room rate is, that's negotiated between that place and FEMA. It has nothing to do with the person getting put in there. But there's a time limit on it, and I know a lot of people feel that they're excuses, but just because the answer may not be the answer that you want to hear doesn't mean it's an excuse. It's an answer, and sometimes it's tough for us. And we're all in this. Again, we're all in the same boat. Megan and I are in the same boat. We're in an RV outside the building here. Is that optimal? No, but I personally chose to not rely on FEMA to find a solution for us. So that's the route we went. We're never there except to sleep. So it's not it's not comfortable, but it's what we have to deal with right now. So as much as I wish things could go faster with FEMA and with the trailers, even the trailers aside, just being able to find a place to put people. If I could find a way to get everyone a place to sleep tomorrow, I would do it. But some things are out of our control, and some things you have to follow the policies that you have in place. And that's a policy that they have in place, and that's where we're at.
Well, yeah, and I understand that you got to play that you're playing in the same sandbox with them, but they just didn't explain the process to the people. They made them run through all those applications, and they knew damn well they were never going to get a trailer on Fort Myers Beach, and yet, unfortunately, it made some people feel like it was. And you don't have to respond to that. I'm a broken record with it. I'm surprised she didn't slap me about it, because I just sound like an idiot for it.
I can't hear Kim.
Okay, go ahead.
He said, I was going to agree with him a few minutes ago, and I always take the opposite side. I understand the rules and regulations. My thing, and I was, trying to explain stuff away and get it clear in my head, is that the issue for me with FEMA, as you were saying, this is new to you guys. This is new to the residents of Fort Myers Beach, but it's not new to them. It's not new to them. So I think that's the only thing that I've been supportive of everybody and the rules and whatever, but I do think that's a little hard to kind of accept that we're still trying to figure this out. Well, there's been a ton of, FEMA's been around a long time. It should be kind of the playbook and, different here, different there. But anyways, so there you go.
No, it's extremely frustrating. And, the SBA, same thing. You go through the process and you get an answer, whether you qualify for FEMA or you don't qualify for FEMA. And then you go to the SBA and you qualify for the SBA. Is that where it ends? It's a process that they have in place that they follow. You have a choice to either go along with the process or remember what got you to where you're at. And, you know, at some point, if you're told no, you step up and you're like, all right, I've been told no, I'm going to move on and I'm going to figure it out myself. And for myself, I can only speak for myself. I got to that conclusion very quickly. I just had to move on. And I feel for the people that can't move on or they need FEMA, but it's important to remember. And I think Mr. Fogel said it, is FEMA is there to not make you whole. It's there to help you in a time of need. Now you can argue if the dollar amount is enough to help you, but most people, I grew up with nothing. So any little bit of help was something. Now I'm not a millionaire and I can't speak to what their dollar amounts are as to how much it would help or not help if I was a millionaire, but I would still want to go back to my roots where something's better than nothing. And if it helps me get started and it helps me figure out what my next steps are. But that's the way I was brought up. I was brought up to not have to rely on somebody else to take care of me. At some point, it's probably not going to happen. But
and I just think that Fogel's being disingenuous. Nobody is asking to be made whole. Nobody. But to get people in the process of applying for a trailer and measuring their yard, knowing full well you're not getting a trailer, is the only point I'm trying to make about the trailers. Now, there's somebody that just posted on here that said that.
Yeah, I'm trying to follow along. I didn't even know you had this feature. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, she said that somebody just, here it is right here, Laura. FEMA was just out by her neighbors and said they are bringing them a trailer. Now, everybody that watches this show know that's not going to happen. But Laura, if it happens, please take a picture and I'll eat my hat. It's
well,
just,
but I think Mr. Fogel covered this point. The people that are telling you they're going to bring you a trailer are not FEMA. They are the contractors that were hired. I believe you mentioned that these are the contractors that are hired to come out and measure your site. And if your site meets their measurements,
hired by who? Hired by who?
Hired by FEMA. That I know what you're trying to say. but
I'm saying it. It's all the same group.
And I'm not here to defend FEMA. Again, if I had my way, everybody would have a trailer tomorrow.
Sure.
If there was a way I could work with local RV companies, I've tried, and even non-local companies, to come in at a very discounted rate to provide our residents with places on their property that they could put these trailers and get around the FEMA rules and requirements. I'm trying, but unfortunately we live in a society where people see demand. People see that there's a need for something, and it's a supply and demand issue. When the supply is low and the demand's high, the prices go up.
Sure.
And, they're trying to run a business, so I can't be mad at them. I'm just keep hoping if I put it out here that, someone, Camping World, whoever keeps, any big company that has resources to some of these that can help out our residents to get around what the requirements of the flood zones are. I mean, these things, a lot of these trailers are on wheels. You can hook them up to the back of the truck and you can move them easily. So just keep trying to find a solution.
While we're on the topic of the federal government, let's talk about the post office. You had a post office representative at the town council meeting today, and this is after people have been irate on the beach. All correct that they have to drive the Jedport Loop to get their mail, and mail's not there. You got to do the change of address. And then the last interview we had with the guy in Orlando was a complete joke. And so finally somebody shows up to talk to you guys at the town council meeting. And the thing that was baffling to me the most was that he was going to go over to the post office parking lot for the first time today. 70 plus days after that post office was turned to shit, he's going to drive over to see if the parking lot's usable, which could have been done at any time, 20 days, 40 days, 30 days, whatever. He's going to go over there today. So where do we stand as far as residents on the beach getting mail?
Well, I did not get a chance to speak with them after the meeting. Vice Mayor Adderholt has been spearheading this for us. He would probably be able to answer that question as to what happened after that meeting. I didn't get it. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to talk to them. It sounded to me, this is one of those things that right after the storm wasn't high on someone's radar. But as we progress, if there's one thing I've learned is as you progress through this, issues that you maybe didn't think of 3 months or 2 months ago are now coming to the surface because people are getting their electric back, they're getting their water back, they're getting into their homes, and now it's the next thing. And talking to all the people from other places that have dealt through, through the storm issues like we're dealing with, that's a lot of what they have said is we wish we would have had a magic playbook that would have told us we need to look at getting mail back on the island right away. And I'm just using that as an example because that's what we're talking about. But I wish we would have done this, or I wish we would have done that. And I'm sure the next thing, because we know we're going to get another one, people are going to rely on Fort Myers Beach and say, what did you learn? This is one of those things that I personally have learned is if you can make notes of the things as the recovery progresses, what is going to be the next step? What are people going to think about? Because if you can attack them 2 months earlier, maybe we had this answer 2 months ago, but it wasn't, we were trying to find people first. Then we were going through this progression. So the progression you go through, if you can try to say, this is what is going to be from the beginning to the end, maybe we'll be able to help the next people. So we're learning.
But Dan, I'm not talking about you. I obviously the town council had no idea what to deal with because it never dealt with it before. But when you look at a company like FPL, they're ready before the storm. Like they have trucks ready right outside the storm zone to do whatever needs to be done. And they seem like they attack it. Now they're not perfect, but they seem like they're ready to go. The United States Post Office has one job: to deliver the mail. It's
Right.
not like, why would the town have to tell the post office, hey, come deliver our mail? It just seems like they weren't doing anything until Adderholt starts shaking Rick Scott's tree.
No, and you make a valid point. And, now that I get to see these comments, I'm seeing it. And I believe it's Debbie Shute said the town should have a plan in place. Well, I can tell you the town had a plan in place, and so did all the other places that had a hurricane. Now, was it a perfect plan? Obviously not. But no one planned for a storm like this. No one planned for Katrina. No one planned for Michael. And you could plan for a storm, but is it a wind storm? Is it a... And I know I'm going to get told that that's an excuse. It's not an excuse. I'm just speaking as my individual self as to what I'm learning, how you make a plan for this. Because I would have never expected that every single structure on our island would be affected by this storm. I don't think anybody would have ever expected that. That's why so many people stayed. They thought it was going to be at worst another Charlie. So even though you have a plan, that's why you have partners like the county, the state, and the federal government to come in and try to help you get through this, because they have seen most of it. They haven't seen what devastation we've had. I've talked to many of them from the state that have said, we've seen a lot of damage, but we haven't seen anything like this. Or some will say, I've seen wind damage this bad, but not this much flood, or vice versa. So it's frustrating sometimes, but you just try to keep moving.
So, did you have anything you wanted to?
No, I
ask
have
about?
something at the end.
Well, go ahead, ask it.
So you made a post earlier today asking people like, what would the vision of the town, like if there was a clean slate? And I
Crazy.
took a couple of, I know there's a lot. And a lot of the comments, and again, there was a lot of comments in probably all different directions, but this I've heard from people say too, is that they really want to retain the small community, the mom and pops, that sort of, like whatever is there that's bigger is there and comes back. But what can the town do, if anything, to encourage and incentivize and protect that vision, to make sure that, what people are worried about, which is big, huge companies come in, big, huge restaurants or whatever that folks are worried about? What can the town do in terms of, whatever is at your disposal?
Well, we get that question a lot, and we touched on that today at the management and planning meeting. Is it's the number one question I get asked when you meet with people who either own and have owned property here for a long time, and are trying to figure out what are their next steps, or people that are considering investing in the island and purchasing property. They want to know where we're going. It's always the vision, and I always push back on them and say the vision is whatever. And I said it today in the meeting. The vision is whatever the community wants it to be, not just 5 council members, not just the town manager, not just the town staff. It's what the community wants it to be. And I think the community wants to keep the culture. They want it. We all know that the buildings are going to look different. We all understand that. The new regulations are going to require different heights. We get that. Doesn't mean that architecturally the outsides can't look a certain way. We can dictate that. We can dictate density. We can dictate setbacks. We can. Those are things that are within our control. I always say control what you can control. We can't control the height. That's going to be what it is. What happens within that building, we can, to a certain extent, control the size of it. I've told every single one of the people that I've met with, whether they own property here now or they're thinking about buying property here, come to us. Come with us with a plan. Think outside the box. Many minds, I think, come up with really good ideas. And if you're willing to listen to people, if you're willing to maybe move your comfort zone a little bit, but to preserve the greater good, a lot can happen. Everyone knows we don't want to be Marco Island. We don't want to be Naples. We don't want to be. Everybody has their own identity. Sanibel has their identity. Everybody has their own identity. Fort Myers Beach has its own identity. I can tell you personally, I will fight to keep that identity. Now, again, the buildings are going to look different. They may be a little higher. We now have things that we are no longer in our way that were maybe in our way on September 27th. We have to reevaluate it. We have to look at the comp plan. We have to look at the land development code. We have to figure out what works for us now that didn't work for us 25 years ago, but now we're in a spot where we could figure out what does work for us. But the important part is to keep the community and the culture. That is by far the most important thing. The look, the feel, the vibe. I think we all can agree that it's so great to be able to go out to Times Square or Santini Plaza or Fishtail Marina or go wherever we're going to go to watch a concert or something. And you're talking with people that maybe built a business and they're billionaires, or they work at the business and they push carts. It doesn't matter. But everybody's equal. Everybody helps each other. That's who Fort Myers Beach is. And that's the vision, to keep that as best we can.
Talk about a town hall meeting where you get a ton of great ideas. Just talk one topic and ask people to come to a meeting about the vision of Fort Myers Beach, and they would show up and love to voice their opinion. I think that would be great to see.
Well, I think as the town manager alluded to it today, you got to work with urban planners. You got to work with planners to sit down and have charrettes. You got to get.
What you guys kept saying charrettes, Dan? What is that?
It's just essentially a fancy word for town hall meeting. It's you sit down and you talk to the community. Here's what we, I'm not an urban planner, but essentially they come out and they say, this is what we think it should look like. And then people say, no, yep, like that, hate that. And then they come back based on your first comments. This is what we think, hate that, hate. And then you narrow it down to what the greater community can say. You're not going to please everybody, but if you can get to like Panama City Beach, if you can get to 80-85% approval rating from your community, then you did your job. You narrowed it down as best you could to get what everybody in that community wants to see. And I think that's the path that we have to go down to figure out exactly what that vision is, exactly what Fort Myers Beach is going to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
Cool. So did we miss anything that you wanted to make sure we pass along? It's almost been an hour already. Time flies when you're around, Dan.
Well, I don't know about that, but no, I think we pretty much covered it. I have my list about the condos to check on that occupancy thing
right
tomorrow, and I'll follow up with you to get you the best answer I can.
All right, Dan Allers. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate your time. Mondays with the mayor.
Have a good night.
All right, Dan Allers, everybody. And before you guys bust out of here, I did want to read a Christmas card that we got from one of our followers. They also included a check for their yellow Army shirts. I don't know how many. We're up over 2,000 of those shirts by now. So thank you all very much for that. And the letter goes like this: Dear Kim and Ed, I'm saying thank you, even though you've said to stop thanking you. Shows how humble you two are. Well, mostly me. She wants to be thanked every time we go out. Can't imagine how people would have known what was happening in Fort Myers Beach without Beach Talk Radio. You're a problem solver. You don't wait for others to help. You get it done ASAP. You have no idea the lives you have impacted to make their lives better in this devastating time. We are just people that have enjoyed our February paradise in Fort Myers Beach and can't wait to return when we can with our yellow Army shirts. Peace and cheers. Margie and Tom from Lake City, Minnesota. Thank you for the nice note. That was very nice.
I got a phone call and someone left a message on my phone they were watching you do the live bike ride thing, and he just was so loved it and wanted me to make sure I told you how much he appreciated it and that I should say thank you from everybody. And so
Thank
I'm
you.
passing that on.
And
Thank
for anybody
you.
that doesn't know, although it's got like
Great.
22,000 views, well, I did a one end of the island to the other end of the island and
And
back.
you didn't fall.
And I didn't fall, and I got a new gizmo that attaches to the top of the bike where you can hook the phone up. I haven't been able to take the mini SD card out of the GoPro, which I had on my helmet, and it was shooting the video backwards. So I'm going to post
Listen,
the video backwards too, just to see.
listen,
Rhonda, Monday with the mayor, Tuesdays with the. Oh, come on. Like we have nothing else to do. Before we go, folks, you need to know about a couple of people that we trust now. We're building this list of trust, and some of you are going to need a roofer soon. Liberty Roofing and Construction is your trusted roofing company, certified to provide the industry-leading manufacturer's total system 50-year warranty. They have a clean property guarantee, industry-leading 50 years. Receive a, I hope I typed that in right. Receive a free assessment by calling 401 Roofing, or you can fill out a quote on their website. Ask for Patrick McKenna. Here's your phone number, 401-439-9585. Or look them up on the World Wide Web, Liberty Roofing and Construction. Thank you for sponsoring the show.
I'm going to call them every day, and I'm going to threaten them with the Yellow Army calling their office every day.
Sherry loves Callie, not you or I, just Callie. Also, Jeff Tarbo is a brand new sponsor. If you're waiting on insurance proceeds to repair or replace your home, it can be very slow and frustrated, as we all know. If you need access to money now, maybe it's time to talk with ATM Mortgage Advisors right here in Fort Myers. ATM has access to quick lines of credit or complete remodel funding. Of course, if you're looking to just purchase something new entirely, they can help you with that too. Call Kim Henderson at 239-849-6999. That's Kim Henderson. Or go to atmmortgage.net. Thank you to Jeff and Kim and Liberty Roofing for joining our army.
Yes,
we appreciate that.
Appreciate that, Diane. If I don't get resolution soon, then we'll bust it out there. The problem is they're not local.
Who's not local?
The people that did our roof, because
they were kind of Orlando or Tampa, right?
We made a mistake I feel like in hindsight, we made a mistake. I'm not telling you all what to do, but we assigned we needed our roof when the last hurricane hit. We assigned our benefits or whatever to like a third party group to take care of that. And I wish I had maintained full control, because
who knows? It's like one of those things. Who knows until it happens to you and you need all that.
But
kind of help.
A loud voice, and I have time on my hands.
Yeah.
So,
well, one thing we learned is when you get in the process enough, it's like with the post office. You finally, it's not. I don't want to use the word complain, but you have a right to get your mail. And when you're constantly trying to figure out who to talk to, yeah, then finally the greasy wheel gets the sticker or whatever the hell that saying is. Wheel. So the squeaky wheel. And so tomorrow our headlines come out before 7:00. So make sure you're subscribed to the free headlines tomorrow morning. And then Friday night we'll be at Margarita. Saturday morning we'll be back at Wahoo Willie's. And that's it, right? Anything else that you wanted to share with your 9 to 12 or 13 people that watch the show? Anything else, dear? No. Anything else? Thank you all for joining us. Have a great Monday evening. You guys are great. Thank you to Callie for showing up to the show tonight. That's when we know it's time to go. Bye-bye.